Welcome students. Today we will start new topic, active and passive voice. So before starting, I must tell you that please like and subscribe my channel for viewing the new topics which I will upload in the YouTube. Okay. So let's start the new topic, that is active and passive voice. So what is active voice? Let's see. When the subject of the verb is doer of an action, the verb is said to be in the active voice. Understand? When the subject of the verb, just remember what is the subject in a sentence? When we make a sentence and we tell about the person, that is the subject. And when the subject of the verb means who does the action is the subject. When the subject of the verb is doer of an action means when the subject is doing the action and the action is passing over to the object, it is the active voice. Okay, let's see from example, you will understand. First is the elephant ate the banana. So here the elephant is the subject. The elephant is doing the action, that is the doer. Elephant, the subject is the doer, and ate is the verb, and the banana is the object. That means when the action is done by the subject and it is being received by the object, it is the active voice. And in B, I have written Nina typed the application. Means Nina is the subject, that means the person who is doing the action, that is doer. Typed is the verb and the application is the object. Means when the action is being received by the object or when the action is done by the subject and it is being received, it is done on any of the object, means object is there in the sentence, then it is called the active voice. Here the elephant and the Nina are the subjects and doer of the action. Thus the above sentences are active sentences. Now the banana was eaten by elephant. Remember in the previous slide I said the elephant ate the banana, and now I have just written the same sentence in a different way. Just see here. The banana was eaten by the elephant. Means here the banana, which was the object, now it has come in the place of a subject, and eaten is the same verb, and elephant, which was the subject in the previous sentence, now it becomes the object. Okay, and here second also the application was the object, which becomes here subject, and Nina, which was the subject there who used to do the action, now becomes here object, and typed is the verb. So from these two sentences, what we can understood that when the subject becomes object and the object becomes subject, then it is called the passive voice. So now in the above sentences, the banana and the application are subjects of the sentences but not the doer of the sentence. Thus when subject becomes object and object becomes subject, it makes passive voice. Now some more examples I have given here. From these example you will clear what is active and what is passive and how we change the active into passive. Number one is he sold the house. So here he is the subject, sold is the verb, and the house is the object. And now when we will change in the passive voice, how it will change? The object, which is the house, it comes in the place of subject. So I have written here the house was sold by him. How it is changed? The house, which was object, becomes subject, and sold, which was the verb, now was one auxiliary verb is added here, was, and by is very compulsory in passive voice. By is added and him is the subject, which was he, now becomes here in passive voice him. Similarly in second also, you packed the bag. The bag was packed by you. I will tell you in the next slide how we will change the subject, that is he, in passive voice in him. Then by is added and how sold becomes was sold. we will discuss in the next slide. Now see some more examples. She was washing clothes, that is active one, and in passive it becomes clothes were being washed by her. They are painting the fence. The fence is being painted by them, that is in the passive voice. So pay attention and remember, then in all the sentences you can see that object is there. The house in example 1, house is object. Example B, the bag is object. Example C, clothes are objects. And in D, the fence is also object. So when object is there in the active voice, then we can easily change the sentence in passive voice. Okay. Now next is, we have to remember some things. Yes. Verbs that require direct object to complete their meaning are transitive verbs, that we had discussed in the previous video, the transitive and intransitive verbs, that when the verb requires the object, then to complete their meaning, that are transitive verbs. You might have remembered, and only these can be changed into passive voice. Just now I told you in the previous slide that when we have the object, that is a transitive verb, then only we can change in the passive form. Remember this one. If the first of all you have to see the sentence whether it has object or not. When there is no object, simply you have to write no passive voice, because no object is there. And when object is there, then we can easily change in passive voice. Some formulas we have to just remember it. Now example, the children clapped loudly. So see here, the children clapped. The children is a subject, clapped is a verb, and loudly is not the object. Okay, loudly is the adverb. So there will be no passive here. The car stopped suddenly. This is also intransitive sentence, and when we have the intransitive sentence, we cannot change in passive voice. The above sentences are intransitive sentences and cannot be changed into passive voice. Now next is, yes, some features I have given here. You have to remember it. If you know properly the features of active and passive voice, then it will be very easy for you to change the active into passive or the passive into active. Now the first feature is, the object of the verb in the active voice becomes subject in the passive voice, and the subject becomes object. Just now we told you in the previous, when we have to change in active and passive, then the subject becomes object and the object becomes subject. Now I have cleared here through the examples and pictures. See, the chimpanzee is eating a banana, that is active, and when it is formed in the passive, see how the banana has come in the place of subject and the chimpanzee in the place of object. One by is very important in the passive voice, we have added here. And is eating is changed into is being eaten. So this is the formula that we will discuss in the next video, how we will change the continuous tense active in passive, and some formulas are there, we will discuss this. Okay, now next feature is number 2, the preposition by is used in the passive voice. Just now I told you, the verb in the active voice is changed to an appropriate auxiliary. Okay, so have you might have seen in the previous examples how we have used the auxiliary verbs in the passive voice with the past participle form of the verb, that is V3 form. Okay, the verb in the active voice is changed to an appropriate auxiliary is MR plus V3 form of the verb. Example, Raman drew a picture. So you can see here in the active voice, the sentence is in the past tense, and when the sentence is in the past tense, when and we have to change in the passive voice, we have to use the formula, that is auxiliary verb was plus V2, that is drew is the V2 form of draw, it will change into V3 form. Okay, that is drawn. See, the picture, a picture was drawn, by is used, Raman. Okay, Raman, which was subject, becomes object here. Now next is, when a sentence in active voice has two objects. Okay, you might have seen, or we will come across so many examples where we will get the two objects. And in that case, what we have to do, we can use both the subjects in the form of both the objects, in the form of subjects. Okay, both the objects can become the subject, and in two different ways we can make the sentence. So when a subject in active voice has two objects, direct or indirect, then either of the objects can become a subject. See the example, Suman gave her a book. Here in this sentence, her is also object and a book is also object. Okay, now how we will change this sentence in two different ways. Both the object we will use in the subject. A book was given to her by Suman, first form, and the second is she was given a book by Suman. But mostly we use the first sentence. In this way, both the objects can act as our subject in the passive voice. But mostly we people are using the first one. A book was given to her by Suman, which is very easy for the people to change in the passive form. Okay. Now next is, yes, the subject or the object in active voice is changed in passive voice when it is pronouns. Just now before I told you that I will tell you in the next slide how we will change the subject, that is the pronouns I, we, he, she, they, you, it, all, because these we are using in the subject, and when in the passive voice we have to use this in the object form, it will change in the different form. Okay, I become me, we become us, he become him, she become her, they become them, you become you will remain you, and it will remain it. So these forms you have to remember it thoroughly. Okay, there are many things you have to remember in active and passive voice. Now some exercises I have given you. If you do these exercises and repeatedly, if you do a lot of exercises, then you will easily have the proper command in active and passive voice. So the first one is, he gave away the prizes. Here see, the sentence is in the past form, gave, that is V2 form, and when I will change in the passive voice, first of all I have to use the auxiliary. You might have remembered previous slide I told you, first of all we will use the auxiliary plus the V3 form. Okay, so here the prizes, which are object, become the subject. Here the prizes and were given away by him. So see how many changes we have done. Object becomes subject, were given, gave changes into were given. Were is the auxiliary and given is the V3 form of gave. Okay, now away, by is added and he becomes him. Okay, see how I have changed, he becomes him. Delicious cookies are baked by me. Okay, now here I bake delicious cookies, and bake is in the present form V1, and how I will change here, delicious cookies are baked. Okay, it is in the present form, so auxiliary are is used. Why are is used? Because here the subject, which is delicious cookies, are in the plural form, so auxiliary are is used. Baked is the V3 form of bake, and by I becomes me. They have painted the fence, so the fence has been fenced by them. Now some exercises I have done for you. You have to do a lot of exercises, and if you do a lot of exercises, if you practice more and more exercises, then you will have proper command in active and passive voice. So let's see some of the exercises I have done here, and after that you do the exercise, take out the question from your grammar copy, grammar book, and do as many exercises as you can do. Now change the following in passive voice. Number 1 is, he gave away the prizes. Here in this sentence, the sentence is in the past form, and you have to see the verb is in the past form, and when the verb is in the past form, and when we are changing this in the passive voice, then we have to add one auxiliary, and then V3 form of the verb. Okay, past means V2 form, and when it comes in the passive form, it will become V3. So the prizes were given. Why were is used? Because the prizes are subject which are in the plural. So were is used here. Were given away by him. Now next is I bake cookies. Here bake is in the present. So I will make the passive in present form. That means one auxiliary is used and V3 form. See, delicious cookies with subject, that is a plural form. Are is used here, auxiliary, baked by me. They have painted the fence. The fence has been painted by them. Okay, why have painted becomes has been? It is a formula when the sentence is in the present perfect tense, then it will become in the passive voice. We have to use the has been. Okay, now the next is we laughed at the clown. The sentence says it, the clown was laughed at by us. So remember the features you have to learn it, the changes you have to learn, that is how the pronouns are changed from subject to object. He becomes him, he becomes him, and I becomes me, they becomes them, and we becomes us. Okay, and how the formulas we will discuss, all the formulas of active and passive we will discuss in the next video. You have to wait for that, and for that you have to subscribe the channel. Okay, like and subscribe the channel for all the next videos which I will upload. Okay, thank you students, thank you children. Okay, bye.